to get on the ball. But as you say, they are prone to making a mistake, and they have been punished. And I think that tonight you've seen really what Milan have been about in the first half of the season.
The Giuseppe Meazza Stadium holds 85,000. We're used to seeing plenty of empty seats in stands. It's actually not actually a bad turnout. Sometimes, again, if you see Juventus at the Delle Alpi, there are a lot more empty seats in the stands than that. It's called the San Siro, which is what the fans still prefer to know it as, although it was officially renamed after Meazza, who was an Inter player primarily, and he played for Italy in the 1934 World Cup that they won. Famous figure from the past of Italian football, and the Italians are off to the World Cup as well, and a few of the players that you're watching tonight will be hoping to make an impact. The likes of Gilardino got his 12th goal of the Serie A campaign. He's certainly one of the candidates, as is Paolo Cannavaro's brother. Unfortunately, I don't think that the Parma man is. Looking down their list, well, the Aussies will be going to the World Cup, injury permitting. And on the bench tonight they do have Daniele Bonera, but they don't have too many options on the bench. That's what you'd say about Parma. A couple of experienced defenders, but their offensive players are generally teenagers.
Well, I think this is the problem in modern football. The big clubs have got squads of 24 players, all world-class players, and the lesser clubs don't have that facility. And when cups come up, or competitions come up, or injuries come up, then the lesser clubs have a big problem. Where the senior clubs, the more, the rich clubs, they seem to be able to fit in an international player when one steps out.
Well, we saw Paolo Maldini there, didn't we, in his civvies walking out of the tunnel. He's back in training. Shouldn't be too far away from returning to the side, which is always nice to have. Cafu's out injured as well. Cafu could be off to play in Brazil from next season. There's Beretta. He's had quite a half-time team talk to make.
Well, I think they knew it was going to be tough from the outset, and the players aren't foolish. They know that the Milan side are a quality side, and they felt it was tough at the start of the game. Well, it's especially tough now, for they've given them a 2-goal start, and the second half is going to be very similar to what the first half was all about. Good defending from Parma and Ancelotti's side. They'll have a lot of possession. Can they turn that possession into goals?
I think the bet would be on yes, the way that the game has gone so far. Ancelotti, well, I said when they were behind, his expression rarely changes, and since they've turned it around, his face doesn't tell you anything at all. Hangdog face. He's a former Parma coach, had a couple of years in the 90s in charge. In fact, led a side to victory here. Mario Stanic with the goal. That was the last time that Parma won against Milan in the San Siro Stadium. They won here in '93 with a goal from Tino Asprilla, which is a name from the past. Brian, a highly entertaining player. They were a top side, won the UEFA Cup, won the Italian Cup as well. Never managed to win a Serie A in their heyday, which wasn't that long ago.
Yeah, Asprilla was quite an interesting player. Didn't he spend some time at Newcastle?
He did, yeah. I remember him signing and going there in the snow in this huge fur coat that he thought might keep him warm. Had a mixed spell there. Bolano with a touch. Parma in the white and black shirts, attacking from right to left on the screens. Serginho, well, his touch was good, but it wasn't well thought out, because Bresciano was able to get it back again.
I think this is one of the problems Parma have. They give the ball away too cheaply. I think even if they just keep possession for a period of time, it might give them some confidence and they can work their way into the game. But they're trying to force the issue and knock the ball up very early. They've only got Karate up there. They haven't got the support. And immediately Milan get the ball, and well, we know what they can do, strut their stuff.
They're such a natural attacking side, Milan, that they, in this circumstance, you would expect them to go for the jugular, not to sit back and take a 3-1. They're better going forward than defending, so they might as well do that. Seedorf gets it back again. Crowded out on the edge of the penalty area.
Well, actually, Parma have made a little change. They're playing 4 at the back, 4 in the middle of the park, and they're trying to push Marchionni up along with Karate to try and give them a more attacking flair.
And the 2 link up, and it's Bresciano goes to Graham, and Milan can come away with Kaká in possession. Now Pirlo, he's got Seedorf racing ahead of him. He tries to slip the ball through towards Gilardino. Offside flag is raised against the former Parma man.
Yeah, Couto does well there. He just steps out as the ball's about to be played and leaves Gilardino offside.
Got a couple of players away at the African Cup of Nations, or preparing for the African Cup of Nations. It doesn't start for a little while yet. Parma. But then, as they always say, no, the African Cup of Nations exists when you sign players from Africa, and if they're any good, they're going to be playing there. Pirlo invites Dario Simic to come forward. Seedorf operating on the right for the time being. It's a dangerous looking ball from the Dutchman, and it had to be knocked behind by Cannavaro.
Yeah, it's good defending. That's all he had to do, because there was too many Milan players up there. Fabulous cross from Seedorf. He really didn't deserve to get the ball in from that position, but he did.
The corner's been taken and it's swung in, and well, the referee, I don't think, has given a free kick there against Gilardino, who was battling away with Cardoni to get the header in.
Well, Gilardino does quite well. He tries to get in front. He does get quite a good part of his head on it. He just skims off his forehead. Didn't really make the contact he wanted. But there's so much pulling and pushing. Referees have got a tough job on.
Decision goes against Marchionni. He's got a couple of caps for Italy. He's hoping to add to that, of course, and that's why a move to one of the bigger clubs would certainly help him. Gattuso and Seedorf. Pirlo always so comfortable in possession. He's not a holding midfielder player in the sense of the tough tackling midfield general. He's a cultured player.
I think Gilardino is the player who's changed more than anybody from the start of the season. I thought when he came into the team, even though he had scored goals from Parma, here's a little chance.
And it's Marchionni coming forward. Calanzi is the defender. He has got a couple of white shirts to aim at if he can get the cross in. Simplicio was the first target, half cleared. And then it was Vince Grella who seized on that one. He doesn't score many goals, you can see why.
Well, I don't know what he was trying to do. I think he was trying to chip the keeper, but certainly wouldn't get over 6'5" data from there. There's Vieira, not looking very happy, is he?
There's not rumours of him moving possibly to Spain or maybe to the English Premiership. Tottenham Hotspur, Newcastle linked, but then they're linked with everybody.
Well, I think he'd be a good player in England because he is big, he is strong, and he does hold the ball up very well. Well, he has a habit of scoring goals.
Well, here Shevchenko also has a habit of scoring goals, and he's trying to make one. Delano and Simplicio combined to get the clearance made.
Yeah, Shevchenko did brilliant there. Not really accustomed to playing on that left-hand side, but he took it so well. Good balance, tried to pick out the right pass.
Now Serginho runs into trouble. Referee tells him to get up and get on with it. It's been a tough night for Ferrari so far. Whenever we've mentioned him, it's almost been in the context of him being isolated and not able to really affect the play. You've got to see something of the ball as a striker.
Well, it's soul destroying really. He's like the Lone Ranger up there, and if you don't get service, you have no chance. If you don't get support play, even less.
Simic trying to work something clever with Seedorf. Pirlo, who came in with the challenge. Just swept the ball out of play this time. Contini, who's a youth team player here at the San Siro, didn't make any appearances though for Milan. Simplicio. It's a free kick. Gattuso isn't happy.
Well, I think he made contact with the ball. Again, the physical presence was there, but you can see, yeah, for me, making contact with the ball, I think the referee has made another mistake. Gattuso feels hard done by. I think he's right.
Contini's cross is flicked on, and it's a diving effort. It was a good effort from the skipper, Cardoni.
Well, it's a training ground one. Lots of skills, head on, gets in front. Jorginho puts a foot up. You've got to put your head there. And Milan got lucky.
And here they come on the attack again. There's Kaká's shot. Good save, well, a comfortable save for Guadalben to make. He hasn't been able to make too many saves this evening. The finishing, when they've got it on target, has been fairly clinical.
Well, regulation save, and as you say, it's been a difficult night for him also.
Trying to make the challenge. Referee says play on. Bresciano takes it on. Caradi's down. I think he's going to be okay.
Well, Jorginho, I think it was a foul, and I think the referee tried to allow play to continue. You can see Caradi not happy. Yeah, there's the studs going in, boot raised, and that is a free kick. And the referee's, well, he's been unlucky because it was with Parma possession, and well, it's been played in good spirit, the game, I've got to say.
Continuing in that good spirit, Parma returned the ball.
I'm just wondering if Ancelotti might throw a squad about a bit, because he knows he's got a lot of games coming up, and he might freshen it up by putting one or two players, because he's got some very experienced players on the bench.
Big game coming up in the Champions League, where they take on Bayern Munich, which was not the draw that they were looking for. Of course, the mighty Germans, like Milan, recent champions of Europe as well. Here's Clarence Seedorf, who knows more than most about being a European champion. 3 different clubs. Free kick given away by Contini.
See, that's silly. Seedorf's going absolutely nowhere. You've got him pinned to the line. You don't simply go in and whack him there, because all of a sudden it's a set piece in a good position, and Milan could maybe capitalise on it.
Does seem to be a thought of changes made. Rui Costa among the subs. Pirlo will take the free kick. It's good work from the keeper.
Yeah, it's a poor free kick, but 6 yards out. Guadalben will be pleased to see it coming in that height. Good hands on that occasion. But that's a waste for me. You know, just whacking the ball up the park.
Especially without Caradi there to be on the end of it.
Well, it was only Marchione on his own, and nothing could happen from that.
Now Mark Bresciano.
That's a better service. You know, he's giving the ball to feet, and, you know, giving them time to get forward. That's a dreadful pass, and that's simply where Parma have been very poor. I know there hasn't been a great deal of option, and confidence is obviously not very high. But you can see the difference in class. I mean, a Milan player has the ball, he has 2 or 3 options on. Parma, not the same option.
Seedorf's cross, it should be comfortable again for Matteo Guadalben. Face a struggle to hang on to their better players, Parma, this summer, regardless of whether they manage to stay up or not. Obviously, if they go down, it's going to be more of a struggle. But in their financial situation, the likes of Marchione and of the highly rated Simplicio, not that we've seen much of him this evening. Bolano does well with the turn, decides not to go forward though. Contini delivers that from a very, very deep position. Dida gets his hands wrapped around the ball and will be happy to do so. Double change on the way. Daniele Banera was one of the players you saw there, and Daniele De Sena. The Dan coming on. Bonera's had a long layoff with injury. Picked up an injury actually playing for Italy against Moldova back in October. De Sena is an 18-year-old midfield player. As we were saying, Brian, the options available to Beretta are not exactly great when it comes to changing the game, bringing on a good player at right, who is basically a right back, and a kid to play in the midfield. Well,
the risk he runs, he has to change the way he plays and maybe making more forward players available, and of course he runs the risk of a rampant Milan scoring plenty of goals, and it's a delicate line to run, and I think he has got to be careful because confidence must be very fragile at the moment, and as you've said, they've got a little run going, 3 results, and they've got to try and build on this, and anything out of the game tonight would have been a massive bonus.
Maybe an odd thing to say this, but a 3-1 and a blank second half isn't that bad for confidence, whereas losing, say, 5-1 is then a real blow moving into other games that are probably more important for Parma.
Well, I think that's right. I think there's no doubt that they came into the game tonight hoping that they could defend well and maybe get lucky, maybe get a lucky break, which they did. And you don't get, maybe you get one lucky break against a team like Milan, you don't get 2 or 3.
And again, let's hope for Beretta and for Parma that they haven't used up a big slice of luck. The changes are about to be made. Gilardino complains about the offside decision.
Very tight, wasn't it?
But right, I think.
I think so. There's very little in it, and of course you only need to see a little bit of daylight and the flag goes up, but on that occasion I'm not sure daylight was evident.
So Paolo Cannavaro has played and scored, which is good for him. But he's making way, and I think Bolano is the other player. If I can read that board, and we'll see if he does indeed make way. Now then, we'll figure out the changes. It could well just be like for like, actually. So Bolano goes off. As I say, Daniele De Sena is a midfield player. He's got 1 goal this season. He's played a few games of late.
Yeah, I think it's just, as you say, like for like. He's just trying to freshen it up, trying to hope that something can take place, and a little bit of inspiration from somewhere, but you're just looking to see where that inspiration is actually going to come from. I think it has to be really a lack of concentration by Milan and them taking their foot off the pedal.
PA system works in the San Siro, Brian, you'll be pleased to know.
It's a fantastic stadium, great atmosphere, and even making your way to it is, when it comes into your eye line, it's a terrific place to come and see and certainly watch a game from.
Home of the 2 Milan Cups as well. Inter as well as AC Milan.
I think the only criticism I would really have about it is it's a nightmare to get away from, and well, you can see this man, he'll not be too unhappy to be leaving it tonight.
He should get a police escort, he should be okay. Kaká just allowed the ball to run across his body there and take comfortable possession. Squeeze that cross in. Cardoni had to deal with it. Simplicio comfortable on the ball as well. He's done well there, the Brazilian midfielder for Parma. And Marchioni tries to find Bresciano. The Australian is able to keep this one in. To Contini, but he sold Contini a little bit short there. And now Grella tries to tee up Simplicio. Back again to Grella. And they've turned Serginho around. De Sena. They did okay there, the youngster, and then the final delivery is a real letdown for Parma, because it had been quite a good move until then.
Well, it was a wee bit spirited, got numbers forward, kept possession, which was the key. And you're right, De Sena did so well to keep the ball in play and roll the ball back and allow the cross to be sent in. But But Milan have a lovely shape about them. You know, the two central defenders, of course, we normally see Maldini in there. They're very comfortable dropping off. I think Nesta gets better and better. And I think Gilardino, as I said earlier on, has grown the longer the season has gone on. Goals help, of course, but he looks a more compact, competent player now.
Well, you're not given long after making a move to one of the really big Italian clubs to settle in. It was only a couple of games before he got his first goal. Here's a ball in towards Corradi. It's well defended, although Parma keep it going. They go back to the substitutes, and it's hooked away by Simic in a dangerous position. And De Sena tried to get the shot away. It was charged down. Simplicio's won it back again. And now Bonera. Good spell from Parma.
Well, this is their best spell, and the Milan faithful are getting a little bit annoyed with their team because they're giving the ball away and not working it as well as they should. I suppose it's very hard when you're 3-1 up and really the game very comfortable for you. You've got to motivate. That's where Ancelotti comes in very strong. He has to motivate these players to keep going for the second half. Actually, a minute ago, the problem that Parma had was it was Kaladze who went into the 2-foot challenge, and they thought it should have been a free kick 25 yards out. And as I said earlier on, I think set pieces would be very, very important to Parma.
Another potential candidate, of course, to come on at some point. You would imagine that Shevchenko or Gilardino will get a breather at some point. Inzaghi would be desperately keen to play. We've already seen that Christian Vieri is sitting up with his family in the stand.
Well, I think Ancelotti will be disappointed with his team the second half, because quite honestly Parma have done okay and Milan haven't really pressed the button and really taken advantage of the situation. Again, a very close call, isn't it? Gilardino definitely offside with Shevchenko, debatable. So he might want to take one or two of these players off to send people like Inzaghi, Rui Costa on, just to inspire them, to give them the game and try and raise the tempo of the game once again.
Space now for Seedorf. Bresciano's got a long way back to defend. Pirlo, once again he chips that ball. I wonder how many times a week he practices just chipping the balls out wide. And now Serginho, and he's delivered a dangerous looking cross. Well, Seedorf attacked it, he just seemed to misjudge the flight of the ball, and he was underneath it as it came in. Gattuso. Seedorf again. Kaká's made the run in front, but it was comfortably intercepted. And now a touch for Corradi. Contini can launch a counter-attack for Parma. Kaladze did well there to win that ball in the penalty area. And then the ball is given away very sloppily by Milan, who are having a rocky spell. De Sena with the cross.
Well, it's a different Milan in the second half, there's no doubt about this. This guy's a little bit frustrated with his team, but I think the second half they've done better because they've been more compact, and on one or two occasions they've put passes together, they've got into the attacking third, and they've actually asked questions of the Milan defence. But it's a big call for them to try and get back into this game, and I would think that Ancelotti will be the next player to take part in the game. He'll make changes. He'll bring in one or two players and freshen it up, because at the moment Milan are going through a very, very ordinary period.
Seedorf now for Milan. He's going to try and take on Contini for pace. Kind of stuck with him.
Well, I thought the arm was up, and I thought the official on that side had a very clear picture of it. Now you can see it, his arms and legs and everything, and I think it should have been a free kick, but Seedorf will, well, he'll not contest it too much.
Decision goes against Gilardino. Is it backing in or handball? I'm not sure. I saw the infringement there, Brian.
Well, it's a handball, and it's a bit sloppy. He's complaining to the linesman, the official on this side, but you keep your arms out of it, that's for sure. Use them for balance, but don't use them to control the ball. I think Ancelotti's the next player. I think the next manager to make a decision, because quite honestly the team at the moment need a bit of inspiration. I think they've done exceedingly well the first half. The second half have been quiet, and maybe just they need a freshen up situation.
Well, if you're a fan of Milan, you're in luck, because we feature them next Sunday evening. It's a potentially tricky tie for them, away to Roma. Never sure which Roma will turn up. At 7:30 again next Sunday evening here on Setanta Sports. Regular coverage of the Italian Serie A Championship, of course, throughout the season on Sunday evenings. And as it unfolds as well, and when there is Wednesday action, you can see that as well. Stoppage because Marchioni is the player. He seems to have got a whack in the midriff.
I don't think it's too bad. It was a challenge to come in. I think it was Gattuso came in and just caught him. He fell over him. I think he actually, it's Gattuso's head more than anything else that hit him. He is a real battler, isn't he? And when you see a team, they're made up of many parts. And Gattuso is a very important part to Milan. He's very competitive, great spirit. And I think he, over the last 2 or 3 seasons, has become a more complete player. Playing with great players, of course, and maybe the confidence factor also.
Incidentally, if you see the close-ups of the referee and the linesman, you ever wonder why there's a pumpkin on the shirt? It's a sponsorship deal that they've got with a financial services provider. Why their financial services provider have a pumpkin as their symbol, I don't know, but that's the explanation, and one of them often asked questions. Now here come Milan attacking with Clarence Seedorf, and they're backing away, and he slipped the ball through to Serginho, and it should be a goal for Shevchenko, but the flag has been raised. Was it Serginho early on in the move? Shevchenko's had his goal chalked off, and it stays at 3-1.
Yeah, it was Serginho. It was a great pass. Again, was there much in it? I'm not sure when the ball's played he's actually in an offside position. It's a very hard position for the official to be in. He's trying to watch when the ball's being played, and is the player just in advance? But I think on that occasion he got it wrong.
And now Parma go forward, and there is no flag this time, and it's been turned in by Marchioni, and it's 3-2, and Milan completely caught flat-footed. And out of nowhere, Parma are back in this game.
I think Milan have just taken their foot off the pedal, and I do think Ancelotti should have made changes. Is he offside? He's not. For Nesta's trying to push out. It's a good decision by the official and a good finish. Dida on that occasion, absolutely no chance. He just toe pokes it into the back of the net. Doesn't matter how you get it there, and it's a good finish. But I do think that Milan have been sort of sitting back, and they've allowed Parma to come back into the game, and the Beretta will be delighted with his players in the second half. They have worked hard, and they have kept better possession. They've got the goal, and now we'll see, I think, a different Milan.
Well, conceding a goal sparked them into life in the first half. We'll see if it does again in the second. Well, I did say, Brian, and I think that's evidence that they're better going forward than they are defending, Milan, and they might as well keep pushing forward looking for goals, because they don't defend particularly well anymore. Here's Bresciani.
Well, the Milan supporters are quite unhappy with their team, and I can understand why. I know it's difficult when you're 3-1 up and coasting, but really they simply have got to play better, Milan, and they've got great talent and great players, and they really should have dominated the second half completely. They haven't let that happen.
And we have a game on our hands. We didn't expect this at half-time. All the talk was about how many they might score. But now it's about whether Milan can hang on for a much-needed victory. Simplicio forward to Carani.
Well, I think Serie A needs this result and Milan to get the points to keep it competitive. But I think over the season Milan have given away some sloppy points, and they've lost some points at home, which normally they don't do.
Rui Costa is stripped and ready for action. Delayed making the change. Ancelotti and his side has conceded a goal. They've played that offside line effectively a number of times, but they got it all wrong that time.
Well, it was poor. They were like a dog's hind leg, and that's what I was saying about the first half. That was very well organised, very well orchestrated, came out together. And Rui Costa's going to come on and try and put his foot in the ball and change it a little bit. I think Kakar, who is replacing, has had a quiet game, even though he scored a very good goal.
It's a change they make on a fairly regular basis. Rui Costa, who was a big money signing when he first came to the San Siro, he's had a mixed spell. Talked openly about whether he might leave or not, but decided that he couldn't play for a bigger club than Milan at this stage of his career.
Well, actually, him and Couto were part of the golden group that came through for Portugal, and they were really efficient. Kakar, I think, is a wonderful, wonderful talent. Tonight he certainly made the first goal and scored the third goal, so he's played a part, but I just expect him to dominate the game so much because he's so gifted on the ball, and tonight the game was set up for him, and I don't think, I'm sure he could have played better.
Looks as though Ambrosini, another midfield player, is also ready to come on. He's a more straightforward midfield player, Ambrosini. Free kick goes Milan's way. Fernando Couto with the arm up against Gilardino.
Well, he's not the biggest guy in the world, Couto. Terrific spring, and he does use his body, he does use his arms, and on that occasion the referee got it absolutely right.
Pirlo's free kick, headed straight back his way. Keeps it in and has another chance to deliver slightly better. One into the penalty area, cleared as far as Seedorf. Some good work and another dangerous ball in, and it's a glancing effort by Shevchenko over the bar.
Well, it's a miss. I'm a huge fan of his, and that's 2 goals he should have scored tonight. Yes, he's getting pushed in the back, but you've got to withstand that. You've got to make yourself big, you've got to make yourself strong. He's absolutely right. There was an elbow on his back, but I just expect him to knock that ball in the bottom right-hand corner, just back where it's come from, and that was a chance gone.
And it is Gilardino who is making way for Ambrosini. It's an interesting check. Striker off, midfield player on.
Well, what you'll find is that Rui Costa will push slightly forward, and he'll partner Shevchenko up front and play really at the top of the diamond. As you say, the midfield player, I think they just need to be resilient in there and be stronger.
Now Serginho.
Well, Ambrosini's a strong player, and he does like to get on the ball. He likes to put in a challenge, and I think he'll add a little bit to the cause at the moment.
Serginho, the centre is back doing the defending. The young sub, Seedorf, is down, and the ball is just knocked out of play. Now, was it something that happened off the ball there? Is the referee having a word with one of the Parma players?
No, it was just a challenge early on, and he was unfortunate that he got caught a little bit late. The studs coming in. It was actually a free kick, but I don't think there was any malice at all involved. I think it was the captain who actually made the challenge.
He has been shown a yellow card. So the referee obviously, well, he spotted it. He was right on the spot. Obviously decided to let the play go on.
I think he's done very well at that. It's caught up with him once or twice and hasn't worked in his favour. But on that occasion, I thought he felt that Milan had the possession to play and could make something happen. And then he went back, gave the free kick, and made the booking.
With around a quarter of an hour to play in this live Italian Serie A game here on Setanta Sports. He's made the best of that clearance, Matteo Guardalbe.
Contini was the player who really should have got the ball very early, and you would expect Guardalbe to have done better, knock the ball up the pitch with his left foot, but he's obviously not very confident with that. But that's silly play now. You see Seedorf throwing the ball back, and he's always in an offside position, and you just don't expect that from 2 international players like Seedorf and Gattuso.
Maldini tries to steal himself a little bit of ground. He's still doing so, isn't he? He was offside nowhere near where he took that free kick. Caradi's conceded so many free kicks, but his team is still in with a chance of pulling off a shock result. And with Inter dropping points against Siena earlier on, Juve would be barely able to believe their luck if Parma can get themselves an equaliser.
Well, you see Carlo Ancelotti's out in the tactical area trying to encourage his players, but I just feel players of this standing shouldn't need that kind of encouragement. It should be self-inflicted, and they should really impose themselves in the game. They know it's drifting. They've got to get a hold of the ball. They've got to pass it. They've got to keep it and get better in this game. The second half has been very ordinary from them.
Fernando Couto penalised.
Kicking his countryman, and as I say, they come through the Portuguese youth system, and
over 200 caps between them. Portugal have got some very good young players as well. They're keeping on either producing or, you could say, signing players.
Well, what they did 20 or 30 years ago realised it had to be looked at very seriously, and they produced some wonderful talent. Figo, Couto, Rui Costa. It was a golden era, and really you felt with that kind of quality should have won a competition.
And there is an argument now, of course, that they're still playing and picking up their big wages rather on reputation. Has been said of Luis Figo into this season. Flick on that has got to be dealt with by Calazza. He's decided to go backwards. De Sena carry on putting the pressure, and it was a late challenge there from the youngster. Well, I suppose Calazza would tell you he made the right decision to go back towards his own goal in the end. Well,
he got it wrong at the start. The crowd were involved and gave him a little bit of stick, but I thought he showed great composure there, coming out, kept the ball, but they're just playing simply poorly at the minute. Milan, they've just got to keep it.
Now they're attacking, and Serginho. Well, the rules of the home supporters let you know what they thought of the cross.
Well, he knows himself. He's a quality player, and tonight I think he's had a lot of the ball, certainly in the first half, but his final ball in has been simply dreadful. And Shevchenko, you see, making the run to the near post. All he wanted, the ball was slid across there. Couto was trying to cover it, but we saw from the first goal, you ping the ball in behind the defender, invite the forward player to get a challenge on it. Anything can happen.
Shevchenko with the layoff, and then Rui Costa finds Seedorf. Seedorf again, just opts to retain possession. There's nothing wrong with that from Milan, as long as they do it effectively. Rui Costa in possession, waved on by the assistant referee, and he plays in a dangerous looking ball, and it's turned in by Andriy Shevchenko. And surely with 10 minutes left to play, that has finally wrapped up the 3 points for Milan tonight.
Well, Rui Costa, absolutely brilliant. Out on the touchline, really a lot of work to do. Very simple, just glided himself past the defender and then zipped that ball in near post. Terrific runs from Shevchenko. You can see him pulling away, sprinted forward, balls in, gets in front of the keeper. Simple, just pass the ball into the back of the net. Super goal.
Well, it was exactly what Serginho should have done a moment or two earlier. Perfectly executed by the substitute.
Well, I think Ancelotti deserves a pat in the back as well. I think he delayed making the substitute for 5 minutes too long, but I think he made the right decision. He put two people on, asked for a little bit of inspiration, and he's got it.
Well, it's been a nervous 10 minutes for Milan. They should have done enough, but they have conceded a free kick. Marchioni, the man who's gone down, and it's within shooting range. Goal back now for Parma, and we would once again have a contest. Limping away from the scene of his injury, Marco Macchioni. Paolo sorting out the wall with Dida. The referee, Mazzoleni, is making sure that they are the right distance back. They're usually more than the right distance back. There's a whole committee of Parma players around it. And it's chipped in. Well, you could see what they were trying to do. It was Contini who chipped it in for the forward run of Marchioni. They didn't quite get it right.
It was almost brilliant. Almost brilliant. You can see Milan, they've lost the player. Nobody's really went with him. It's a delicate little chip in, and it just was too far. Terrific invention. Training ground, I like to see it. I like that little bit of thought to go into a free kick. Almost worked.
Trouble is, you don't get many shots at it now. They've done it, and they've revealed it to us all, and they got it wrong, which is a shame, because it was clever. But here come Milan looking for a fifth. It's blocked out. Bresciano actually gives the ball to nobody. Nesta attacked it well. Gattuso. Flag raised against Carlo. His run of scoring in 4 consecutive matches, it would seem, is not going to be extended to 5. Zlatko Dedic, who is a striker, as is Pippo Inzaghi. So we are going to see more changes from the 2 coaches. Been a much better second half performance from Parma, even though they have conceded the 4th goal. For another one of their own, and it's been forced in. Dida wasn't able to make the save, and it's Macchioni with his 2nd of the game. It's only his 3rd of the season, but he's a man who's after a move to one of the big clubs, and he's doing himself no harm at all tonight, and he's opened this game up again. It's 4-3. Can you believe that?
Well, it's a super goal actually, and Carlo does so well, but Marchioni does so well as well. You can't really be challenged there, because if they miss him, they're going to give away a penalty kick. Dida gets his hand to it. It isn't strong enough, although it was going to be tough for the Brazilian goalkeeper. And the ball just trickles over the line. It's a big goal, but Gattuso and company, well, I think the second half they've been quite disappointing. And this is one of the reasons why Milan are having the troubles they're having this year. They're losing points at the vital time, and you can see the frustration of the coach, and definitely hear the frustration of the supporters.
Well, I wonder whether that will change Beretta's thoughts. I wonder if it was going to be striker for striker, and whether he might now gamble and go looking for the 4th.
Well, again, that's a very tight call for offside. It was a long way out, but I think the official got that wrong also. But I think the concern has to be Ancelotti's at the moment, because quite honestly, it's 2 different teams. You've spoken about Roma, which team you're going to see, but tonight we've seen the first half from Milan completely different from the second. First half they were excellent, their passing was good, their attitude was right, they defended well, all right, 1 goal mistake by the goalkeeper. Other than that, it was good.
Well, Carradi's been dragged back there, and it's going to be a yellow card for Paolo. No arguments there. You can see the shirt almost came off his back.
Well, it's frustration, and you can see he's given the rest of the defenders some stick, because they're not closing down. They're allowing the Carradi to turn and run at them, and that shouldn't happen.
Now we'll see if we've got anything else clever worked out. So it is a defender who's gone off. Matteo Contini, the left back, has gone off as Zlatko Dedic, the striker. The Slovenian striker to come on. It's another young man. And there's a change for Milan. It's old Billy Costa-Curta coming on. Grizzled old veteran defender. Serginho going off. Ancelotti is clearly concerned.
Well, he's disappointed with Jorginho's defending, that's for sure. We know how talented he is going forward, although his final ball can poor tonight, I think, too often. But Billy Costa-Curta is a very experienced player, can play centre-back or can play left-back, so he's got the choice of playing on the left-back position or moving Kaladze across and putting Billy Costa-Curta in there. But he needs to defend now, and he knows that. He can't lose 2 points here tonight.
And with 3 minutes left of normal time, there is some big defending to be done as Bresciano takes the free kick. Didn't really test either the way that they would have wanted.
Well, I'm not sure he could score from that distance, I think. And I said so often, players have got to realise their distance. And he is a mighty big man, the Brazilian. And he covered the ground very easily there. And that was a big chance, you know, because 4-3, they've just got the third goal. They've pushed players up. Milan a little bit nervous.
Well, we have a fascinating climax to this game. Milan simply need to win. They need to reduce the deficit to Juventus back to 9 points. Well, Marchioni let it run and was hoping to get the ball back into his feet from Carlo. Too much on it, though, from the centre forward.
Well, it's a straight swap. Costa-Curta is playing in the left-back position, so obviously Ancelotti wasn't best pleased with Jorginho's defending, and he's asked the experienced Costa-Curta to come in just to tighten up the defence.
And launch another one forward. Nesta just swings a boot through it. Anywhere will do. Win it back. Fernando Couto with the challenge. And then Dedic helps it on towards Bresciano. And Marchioni now, the scorer of 2 goals. Can he fashion a third? Simplicio. Pinball around the edge of the Milan penalty area. Well, you wouldn't have thought that this outcome of this game would be possible, the way that it ended with Parma on top. Here they come again, looking for an unlikely equaliser. And Carlo goes down, and he's penalised. Coach can't believe it.
Well, it's not finished yet. There will be 1 or 2 minutes to add on, but I've got to say, the second half, Parma have really come out. And they've played so well the second half, to the extent that they've got their act together, they've passed better, they've got forward better. And they've looked a formidable outfit. They keep this spirit going. He's looking at his watch, but they can survive this season. I think Milan, you can see the problems they do have. They can be very good and they can be very ordinary. And defensively, they're not solid. So overall tonight, we've got a good impression of both of these sides.
Well, Rui Costa, who produced a little bit of magic to give Shevchenko that 4th goal that we thought was going to wrap it up. And you can see Beretta is furious with the referee.
Well, it was the official on this side who gave the free kick, and he's going to get told off. He sent him off.
Well, it's hard to see that he could have done anything else. The way he ran onto the outside of his technical area, yelling and shouting.
Well, I do think the referee and his assistants have maybe got not every decision right tonight. I think that was a physical contest for the ball. Rui Costa's strong, and I think that was a fair challenge, and you can understand the frustration. 45 minutes played, and really he's fighting for his life, and that's the frustration of the coach.
He's had a difficult game tonight, the young referee. It's only his 4th Serie A game. I'm sure that he'll have a few things to say after the game. He's not going to see whether his side pull off this remarkable comeback or not. Safe to say he's angry. Here's a free kick for Milan, headed away by Fernando Couto. Pirlo to Seedorf. They want the ball at this end of the field. But Guadalben has it again. This time he will be within his rights to launch it forward. Wasn't the best of clearances, but he's found a white shirt. Marchioni battling away. Calazzi's done well that time.
I think he's had a solid game. He's made one or two very crucial challenges and won important balls, and I think overall he's defended as well as anybody.
With around a minute left to go of stoppage time. Parma looking for a fourth goal to give themselves a point. Anything would have been a bonus for them. Shevchenko's back inside his own half. Gattuso's under pressure. Well, they can't be satisfied with the way they played in the second period, Parma. They might be more than satisfied. There might be still something left in the game for them. Bresciano tries to put a bit of pressure on Simic. He can't do anything with that.
Well, I think when you look at the first half, you never thought that Milan would be hanging on at the end of the game to get something out of it, and quite honestly, that's what they're doing at the moment.
Marchioni, who's had such a good game for Parma, has it gone out? It now has. Still contesting the decision. It could be the end of the game. Milan have stumbled their way to 3 points, it would seem. Surely when the ball goes back into play, Mr. Mazzoleni will blow his whistle. Dida's taking his time, he's dragging those big feet back for a 4-goal performance and a victory. It has been decidedly unconvincing from Milan, but the referee confirms the victory. Well, what a game it was. They went behind. Howler from Dida gave Paolo a goal. They stormed back. An own goal by Cardoni. Giardino against his old club, and Kaká made it 3-1 at half-time. But then in the second half, there was a fight back. Marchioni made it 3-2. Bit of magic by Rui Costa set up Shevchenko to make it 4-2, but the game still wasn't over. Marchioni again. Some sloppy defending allowed him in behind. Gattuso couldn't believe it. Most of the Milan fans couldn't believe it. Now this is how it affects the table. The stats there show a comfortable victory in terms of possession, but it wasn't that for Milan. Now they reduced the gap one way or another to 9 points on Juve. In terms of quality, though, I don't think Juve would have been too concerned, but they do at least leapfrog over Inter, who dropped points earlier on today against Siena. They're 3 points clear of Fiorentina, and so one way or another they have confirmed and consolidated a place in the Champions League positions. But what a game we've had tonight. Serie A action is back on Setanta Sports next Sunday night. It's Milan again. You never know what you're going to get. Tonight they've got themselves a victory, but it was a long way around it. They've finally beaten Parma here at the San Siro. Final score tonight is Milan 4, Parma 3.